Hey everybody, it's Ron Jackson here. If you want to join me, this is my first time doing a live on actually Patreon, so I hope you can see me. Please send me a chat. I'm waiting to hear back from some people. If there's anybody watching right now, if you're watching, please send me a message and ask me some questions about the 7-string guitar. I'm going to start right now. If you can hear me, make sure you can hear me. If there's any comments or anything like that, let me know. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm kind of fairly new. Let me see. So, I'm live right now. If someone wants to join me and ask me some questions on Patreon, let me know. This is, I know, fairly new for everybody. And hopefully you went to the link that I sent by Patreon right now, and you could actually check it out, okay? In the meantime, I'll play a song. This is my workhorse custom Eastman AR403 CE C5 7-string that was modified for me. So let me see if I can play you a song right now. I know people are still trying to get on. Please write me if there's any questions. This is a live stream. You can actually enable your chat button if you can. Let me know if you're having a problem getting on to see me. I'm going to put my phone on. You can actually text me here. Text me here at 917-804-8716 if you have any questions. Or you can enable chat on your phone. Actually, text me here. 917-804-8716 if you have any questions about the workshop. Let me see. This is fairly new to me too, so I'm going to turn my phone on a little bit. Let me put that in the text box. 917-804-8716. If there's any questions, I just turn my phone on. Turn the volume up. Okay, I know somebody's watching here. Right now, I'll play one of my favorite songs, the chord melody style. It's called Time After Time, the jazz standard. Okay, cool. Let me know if you have any questions. That was the 7th string. I was actually walking the bass line right now. A tune called Time After Time. And people always wonder, how do you learn how to do walking bass lines and things like that? So one of the first things to do is really learn how to do a walking bass line. Transcribe bass players. Listen to how bass players, what I mean by transcribe is take off their walking bass lines and try to play them on the guitar. I used to do just basic things with the bass. The most basic bass line, actually, if you want to learn one, is actually just hitting the root of each chord. So that song had these chords: C major 7, A minor, D minor 7, G7. All the chords are 7th chords. So C, A, D, G. So all I would do, the most basic bass line is just hitting chord notes. I mean, the thing is to be able to play that line every possible way. So for people who don't know the 7-string guitar, you should learn how to play this on the 6-string guitar first. So I'm going to pull out my 6-string guitar first so you can get an idea. If there's any questions, please go to the live chat button on my live stream. I don't know if you can find that, but I've been sending chats to everybody. You can actually enable live chat. I can't talk back and forth with you, unfortunately. So let me go on here. We might have to do an Instagram live next time. That'll be easier. Let me get a 6-string guitar. Right here. So this is an acoustic guitar, but you should be able to hear it. Let me take the sponge out of this thing. I'll leave it in there. So, I mean, I'll just do a basic 1-6-2-5 pattern. And what I teach everybody to do, if you're going to be doing a bass line, is to be able to hold a chord under each bass line when you do it. So if I'm doing a C chord, just hold the chord. And A minor. Like that. Try that at home. Text me at 917-804-8716 if you want to ask questions. So the next thing to do is try to do a connecting bass line like this. So make sure you know how to play these chords. You can even do open if you want. Now the next thing to do is connect the bass lines. Well, I'm doing just going down the steps. You can do it that way. I'm doing diatonic. That means in the scale. So you have to know your scales too. I'm in C major. Okay, so that's an introduction to the bass lines. Another thing that's really important was playing the 6-string guitar and playing chord melody like I was doing earlier is actually knowing how to harmonize the melody somehow. Now, what you have to learn how to do is know how to play the melody on top of the chord with it sounding very clear. Okay, like this. So the first note is an E of the song Time After Time. So here's the melody. You should know the melody separately first. So that's the first part. So what I do is a C chord on there, and then when I get to the A minor, I have to play this note. Well, there's an E note on top of the C chord, and then the next note is a C on the A minor. Okay, so I got to play that melody note on there. There's a D right after on the same chord. Then I got to play the C on the D minor. There's a D on the G7 chord. I'm just on. In the back to C, I'm playing a C major 7 now. There's an E, and then when I get to the A minor, there's a G on the chord. Then back to C. So if you look carefully, I'm going. So I get to the G. That's all I basically did. So that's the intro to doing chord melody. I'll be doing a lot more of that actually. And I actually discussed it already in my Patreon account. Okay. If you have any questions, also send me a message on Patreon, because right now I'm on my Patreon account, and I don't know if anybody's. I see 2 people are watching. I'm not quite sure who you are, but please do me a favor, send me a message on Patreon if you have any questions, and I want to hear from you. Let me see now. So some people had questions about. Oops. Where's my live stream? Here I are. Some people wanted me to do cover some stuff also on improvisation. Okay, so right now, so we talked about bass lines. So and we're talking about, this is a 6-string guitar. So if there's any questions about the 7-string, I could go over that with you too. So we did a little bit of a chord melody, and make sure you know your chords first. Let's talk about chords a little bit more. So you should know all your diatonic chords in every key that you're playing. So what I mean by that, like if you're going to be playing jazz particularly, or any style of music, you should know all your chords, basic chords through all the keys. So I usually have my students just play, they should know your bar chords up and down the neck. So in the key of C, all your chords in the key of C and the key of C major scale is C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and then, okay, our B diminished. They call it that way, that one. Okay. Okay, you should know all those chords. C minor. So it's actually, you should know this in every key, and we usually name everything in jazz with Roman numerals. For the 1 chord, it's 1, and if it's major, you don't have it. You don't say minor or anything. You say 1. Then the 2 minor, 3 minor, 4, 5, 6, 7 diminished, 1. Okay, that's what we usually do. And then, so I would have my students, all my students, learn how to play like that. Even with the open string chords, in the key of C, you can do it. Open string chords, actually. C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished, C. Okay? You should do it in every key. And you should do the same thing with the 7th chords. You should know all your 7th chords just like that. So you should be able to go C major 7. Now, I mean, with the bar chords particularly, I always have my students start on 1 string, like on the 5th string, just to go up and down the neck. But you should be able to go across the neck too. So you're going to go C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7, B half diminished, or minor 7 flat 5 back to C major 7. And go backwards. Okay, that's what you would do with your chords like that. But then you have to be able to do that across the neck. So let's say you start in this position, you can go to D minor. Learn the 4-string roots now. I'm on the 4-string root. So I'm going C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7, B half diminished or minor 7 left 5 back to C major 7. Keep going up the neck as far as you can. You go to warm up actually too. Okay, those are your basic bar chord voicings like that. Now, I started on the 5th string. You should be able to do it on the 6th string too. So the most basic voicing is like this. That voicing is C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, however far you can reach on the guitar. Okay, now this is only on the 6th string. So when you get to the 7th string, it becomes much more complicated. Now, if anybody has any questions, please send me a chat on this live stream, which is, I don't know, some people might not know how to enable the chat. But if you can, let me know. I see there's 2 people watching on this private link here. So it must be 2 of my patrons out of my 7 so far, which is great for a couple of weeks. Now, so those are the basics of chords. You know, you should know all your chord voicings in major, okay, and in minor eventually, but we'll talk about that later, okay? Now, people wanted me to talk about, you know, in the survey, they wanted me to talk also about improvisation and scales and everything like that. So let's say you're playing a blues. I have this exercise on my Patreon account, okay? We'll get to 7th string in a minute too, so we can work on that a little bit. When you're working on a blues song, for example, like you know, a common blues song on jazz is usually, let's say, the key of F, just to say flats, you know. So you know, you have the F chord 1, 2, 3, 4, the B flat 7 chord. This is actually a straight 1, 4, 5 blues. Okay. We're going to figure out how to take a solo on this using the jazz approach. So this is the basic blues that everybody knows. 1, 4, 5 blues. So it's going F to B flat, etc. And you should know this progression really well just to be able to play each chord scale. That's how we're going to work on this song next. So, so to be able to play this, you should be able to play your chord scale over each chord. So for the F, you should be able to play the F dominant 7th scale, which is like an F major scale. We'll do it 1 octave for now. So I'm just going for the low 6th string. Goes major, 1 octave, okay. And you're gonna go all the way and lower the 7th. Okay, that's how you play a dominant scale. Okay, and then when you get to the B flat chord, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna play a B flat dominant scale, which is B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, and go backwards. And then the next scale you're gonna play, you're just gonna move it up. I'm gonna just move it up to 2nd position and play the C dominant scale. Okay, that's the next scale. Those are only 3 scales you have to play in this blues. So if you're playing over a blues, let me get a blues backing track in the key of F for you right now on YouTube on a separate line here. B flat. 1 second. B flat blues backing track. B flat blues. No, make it F blues backing track. Sorry about that. So just a regular blues. Here we go. Let's see what it sounds like. A little fast. Traditional. Let me put traditional. Okay. I'm gonna try to make this. Here's the easy one. Okay, here we go. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go. This is the exercise. So here's the F chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay. You can actually hear this better. So you're gonna do the F blues. You're gonna play the scale up. Okay. And then you're gonna play the scale up to the B flat next. So here's what it sounds like. One. Let me see, make sure it's not too loud. Here we go. Ready? We're gonna start with the chop. So you're gonna try to follow along with me. Here we go. Two, three, go. Sorry about that. So that's how you would actually play over a blues using jazz improvisation. Now, that sounds easy, but it really isn't, because I'm only playing this right here on the 6th string on the root, which if you're beginning improvisation, you're not going to be playing from the root of the 6th string. You're going to be playing much higher. So you're going to have to practice that exercise everywhere on the neck. So if I'm playing F7 here, you should be able to play an octave higher. Now, every possible fingering, though. Every possible. I'm only starting from the root. You should be able to start from any place. Everywhere on the neck. This is just the F blues scale, F dominant scale. On the same string, every possible fingering. Because when you're playing jazz, particularly, just any kind of jazz style. Let me move this up a little bit so you can see my face. You're gonna have to be able to play your scales every possible fingering, every way. I'm only playing it just up each note too. In seconds, we call it. You should be able to play different ways, like thirds. See how I'm not staying in position. So you should really know your scales well, just like that. So if I'm playing through a blues, you should be able to play that scale, those scales, the F dominant, the B flat dominant, the C dominant, and change, and be able to play those scales anywhere on the neck. So I get to B flat. And that's how you really master the fingerboard. Not C7. Anywhere on the fingerboard. You should be practicing this while you're doing the workshop now. Exactly, etc. Okay, so I mean that's an introduction to improvisation that you have to work on. If you have any questions, please send them. So if I'm playing through a jazz standard, that's much more complicated. You have to be able to play those scales through the jazz standard as well. So my method is this is actually the way Barry Harris teaches. You have to be able to play the scale through each chord, as well as many other things, of course. But you should be able to play at least the chords through the scales. Through the song. The chords go through each song, through each chord. So if I take a song like "There Will Never Be Another You," a jazz standard. Let me find that for you. There will never be another you. It's like a very common jazz standard. The thing is, I'm going to play it for you. You can look it up on YouTube right now. There's some of these websites actually have chords generated into it. I just picked the first one. So let's play through this so you can see what I'm talking about. So you see what I just did? I actually just basically played the scale for each chord. This is a great practice technique. So the thing that's really important about playing your scales over each chord is that you actually play everything in eighth notes, so you're playing in time. And one good exercise, let's say you're playing this song, "There Will Never Be Another You." You can look that up, on YouTube. You can find the changes there. Or if everybody should have the iReal book to be able to practice jazz standards and learn your jazz standards, just the chords actually. So, or the real book, get that song out. So if I'm playing over an E flat major 7 chord, I'm just going to play the scale, the E flat major scale, which is here on the 5th position. So I'll play through that song like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're all eighth notes, and they all line up on the beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I get to the next chord, it's a D minor 7 flat 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll play the Locrian scale, which is an E flat major scale starting on the 7. So 7 to 1. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and on that note, then I'll do the G7. I'll do the G7 altered, which is A flat melodic minor scale starting on the 7th degree. Then I'll play whenever you play a C minor chord. Most of the time in jazz, it's not natural minor. It's actually it's Dorian minor. So the natural minor is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. So basically, when I say those flats, it's you're just lowering the notes of the major scale to make it flat. So if it's a C minor chord, C minor natural, it's actually a C major scale. But I lower the 3rd, then I play the 4th, Then I lower the sixth. Then I lower the seventh. This actually fits perfectly in the key of E flat minor because that's E flat minor. I mean, sorry, C minor, which is E flat major. E flat major scale has 3 flats, just like the C minor. So, but in this case, I'll play a C Dorian. I'll raise the sixth. Then I'll do the same thing on the B flat minor and the seventh. On the E flat, on the A flat, I'll play A flat major 7. I'll play just the A flat major scale up to the 7th. Then on the D flat chord, okay, I'm doing this from memory just so you guys know. Then E flat major 7. Now I get the C minor chord, I'll play C Dorian. Then F7. And then F minor Dorian. B flat dominant. So that's how you play through There Will Never Be Another You. So I'm going to play it one more time so you have a better idea of how that's supposed to go when you're practicing. I would practice it even slower. Let me slow it down a little bit so you can get an idea. I hope it's not too slow. Check this out. So I'm going to do the same thing for you. See, I'm doing different fingering. You should be able to do different fingering. Oops. Different fingering. So what I just did is what the exercise I just told you a second ago. I'm switching back. And what I did was I did a scale exercise I told you to do in eighth notes, going up to the 7th degree and going back down if it's a long 2-bar phrase, like E flat major 7 for 2 bars or 2 measures, 4 beats each. Okay. If it's 1 measure, you just go up to the 7th and end so you have a breath and get to the next chord. So in this chord progression, it's E flat major 7 for 2 bars, then D minor 7 for 1 bar. So I'll just play this on D minor 7 flat 5, just for 1 measure, and then the G7 altered or flat 9, just 1 bar like that. Then if it's long, like a C Dorian on the C minor there, I'll go up to the 7th and go back and end on the root. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You actually go all the way to the root there. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do it just like that all the way through the song. It's a great exercise. That's how you really learn how to play changes. Now, everybody asks me what jazz improvisation is all about. Jazz improvisation is all about playing over changes. And then once you get good at that, not playing over changes, learning how to play around the changes, through the changes, using different reharmonizations, different approaches. But you got to learn how to play the changes first. But there's some, that's the jazz way. But there's guys who I used to study with James Blood Ulmer, and his thing was not to play over the changes. And he told me this story one time that he hung out with George Benson. George Benson plays the crap out of changes. And he just said to me that George Benson was really messed up when he said he couldn't figure out how the concept of, he couldn't get the concept of not being able to play over changes. So there's a way of not playing over changes, and I've hung out with Ornette Coleman and James Blunt Ulmer before about that kind of stuff, and that's a crazy way of thinking, but that's another way of thinking too. So, but most of us learn how to play over changes. So I mean, that's one approach. Okay, so let's talk about the 7-string guitar. So people can work on that. If there's any questions, please send me messages, my Patreon fans over there and friends on Patreon. I'm going to have a new video coming up soon. I'm going to be doing one a week at least of a new lesson and video. And every 2 weeks I'm going to do a workshop and or concert. The next one is going to be a concert, I think. And I'm going to let you guys choose what songs you want me to play. Maybe pick a list. Also, if you get a chance, I'm doing every Sunday I do a Sunday evening jazz with Ron Jackson on Instagram. And that starts about 9 p.m. every Sunday, if you want to check that out. I'll put it on the comments here so you can check it out. It's www.instagram.com/Ron Jackson Music. I'll put that in a little later. The next thing is I want to pull out my 7-string and talk about that a little bit. I did a little workshop. I did a little video this weekend, actually. Well, actually last Friday that came out, patrons only, about the 7-string. So a lot of people have questions about the 7-string. Now, just so you know, I think everybody should learn how to play the 7-string eventually in jazz, because that would be a great way of bringing the future to this instrument. It's a great instrument. Basically, the 7-string is not that complicated, but also it's very complicated. Like right now, when I was playing my 6-string, I had this thing called missing limb syndrome. Like I'm so used to having the 7th string right on the bottom that I would miss the scale. It's not because I didn't know it, because I'm used to playing a 7-string with an extra note. So I think the 6th string is the 7th string. So basically, a 7-string guitar is like a standard tuning guitar, which is the 1st string. E, A, D, G, B, E. Okay. Then you have the low A note, which is the same as your pitch as your A string. You get the same pitch. And you're just doubling it, basically. I learned this method, and this is the jazz way of playing the 7-string. I learned this method from Bucky Pizzarelli, who I used to study swing guitar lessons with, playing let's say we're playing There Will Never Be Another You. It would be like. That kind of stuff. But at the same time I was learning this, I was actually, Bucky was trying to actually convince me to play 7-string, because that's what he played mainly until he died recently, unfortunately, of COVID-19 at 94. He just died, actually, unfortunately, because of that. So he played the 7-string from his mid-40s. I started about my mid-40s, actually, too, playing the 7-string until the day he died. He picked up a guitar. He was good friends with George Van Epps, and he picked up a guitar, a 7-string guitar, and it's really tricky to play the 7-string, because you think it's going to be easy because of the 7 strings, but of the extra note, but it's not, because you can get. The first thing he told me he did was he hit an E chord and went like this, and it's completely wrong, because if you're playing this on the 7th string, it'll be wrong. On the 6th string, it sounds like this. So that's what we have to get used to, is the spacing. Okay, and the best way to learn 7th string is just pick one up. And it's a lot more notes to tune. It's hard to get that 7th string in tune. So the first thing I picked up from him was to tune the A string, the low string, to an A, because I had tuned it to a B, which is typical for rock guys to tune to a low B. But so this is a low B. This is the B string. Sounds like. So I was used to doing that, but he told me to tune to low A because George Van Epps did that. So you're basically doubling the A string. So that sounds easy, but it's not. But you know, because you could, in some ways, you can just play like a C chord and just double the note on the bottom. So, but that's not easy to do because what happens is when you start trying to play the 7th string, you got to know how to play. Or when you start playing a G chord, you're not using the 7th string. That's the lowest note you can really go on a G chord. You know, on the 6th string is the root there. Okay, so it gets really complicated when you start doing things like that, or you're putting like the 5th on the bottom of the G chord. So, but that's the cool thing about it. You can do cool bass lines. You can never get that low on a 6th string guitar. Okay, so I mean, I don't want to scare you with the 7th string, but it's a cool thing to learn. And if you want to play solo guitar, it's one of the best things to do. You know, you can just do a walking bass. You know, in every key is really cool. Oh, Reggie. Oh, good. Oh, so Reggie has a question. Oh, great. My first video chat. Reggie, Reggie's asking, on the 7th string, for example, what chord notes are you playing over the E flat major 7? So if I'm playing on a E flat major 7, Reggie, so here's the E flat major 7. You would commonly play it that way on the 6th string, but now I have this option. Now it's an octave lower. So any chord, you know, any chord that you play on the 5th string root could be doubled now on the 7th string. That's what's really cool. So if I'm playing like There Will Never Be Another You, I could just play the 7th string there. Where before I was going like this. That's how you play on the 6th string. But on the 7th string, you could do this now. And even though that was on the 5th string, I could play on the 7th string. So any note that was on the 5th string, I replaced with the 7th string. 5th string, 5th string. Oh, what's it? C minor. No, this is the 6th string. F minor. Now the B flat. You get that low B flat there. That's really cool, isn't it? So now, I mean, that really gives you a lot more options to do bass lines. So when I can, I really try to throw that 7th string in when I'm particularly walking our bass line. I'll go like this. Now, let me show you. I'm going to show you on the 7th string what that bass line sounds like, and then you're going to see what it sounds like when I play it on the 6th string. It's going to be exactly the same note, but an octave higher. Now, here's what it sounds like when I do the bass line, like a 6th string. It's going to sound like much thinner because it's not going to be a low bass line. It sounds good. So what I did was I just basically played the same thing I did on the 7th string, but on the 5th string. It's exactly the same fingering, but you have to reach over to play the 7th string. The thing that's tricky though is, like, let's say you're playing this. You play the E flat major 7 like this, which is like the 11th fret. Now, so the thing is, won't have that low note like you had here. You had the same pitch, but you can play a lower. You could do that kind of. So that note now is here. So that was a low note there, but you can play this low G that was way down here, way up here, which is really kind of cool because you can play really high chords now, like with this note on the bottom. I can go like this. You can never do that when you play that string down here. Play that note way up here. You can play it here now. It's the exact same pitch. So that note's here. That note is here. You can never play that note, this high E flat when I'm playing this C note here. That's the cool thing about 7th string. See what I'm doing? Good question, Reggie. Thank you, Reggie. If there's any more questions, please let me know before I finish my workshop in about 15 minutes. I mean, so that's the 7th string. I think everybody should pick one up because particularly I'm trying to be an ambassador for Bucky because he's been trying to pass down this tradition. I mean, to every student he's had, and it took quite a few years for me to convince me. It took about 10 years to convince me, I think. No, 5 years to convince me to play the 7th string. But then I got into it. I still got to work on this thing. It's a real beast. So the thing is, like for example, we're talking about scales, chord scales to play over changes. So the thing that's really hard about the 7th string, I don't know if anybody, I know that Reggie's watching on this. If there's any questions, please let me know about anything, any subject. We talked about chord voicings. We talked about, the 7th string. We talked about scales, improvisation. You saw me incorporating bass lines, but I'm trying to right now incorporate how to play the 6th on the 7th string, as well as because I'm really good at soloing all over on the 6th string. So let's say I'm playing over. So now if I'm playing the key of E flat. So now there's a whole different 6 on the 7th string that I've never played before. Okay, it's back on, I hope. So when I'm taking a solo, I'm starting to write out exercises on my Patreon account to play the 7th string. You start using it as a solo in a solo. Okay, my stream was unstable. It says, I hope so. We're gonna try to. What's going on here? I want to take off this and put on my. I'm gonna put on my Ethernet cable to make sure I have a better, more stable connection. I might have to turn off the light here. Let me see. I'm gonna put this light on. I'm gonna take this light off, put my Ethernet cable in. Let's see if that works. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the Wi-Fi. Okay, let's see. Put this on yesterday is being able to play. You should know all your minor pentatonics on your 6th string guitar. So C minor pentatonic, like on a C blues. So what I started incorporating is putting the 7th string in the pentatonic. I wrote that out. I'm going to try to do a video about that today. So here's one position. Next position on the C minor pentatonic. You should know that already. Most guitar players don't. So for my 7th string, you gotta put those extra notes on the bottom now. Here's the next one. So you're trying to cover the 7th string now, even for myself. And I want everybody to learn how to play that if you're playing 7th string. And then the last position, which is, this is a 6th string and 7th string exercise you should know. That's on Patreon right now. So I'm putting that 7th string in there. All the minor bends. Okay? So I'm incorporating that 7th string, but the thing now I'm going to do, my next exercise, I'm going to be doing a video about that. Is you're going to have to be able to play that for your 7th string Patreons and your 6th string Patreons too. You should know all your 8 fingerings of the C major scale like this. Okay, but now when I add, for example, that's the C major scale, 1st position. You can reach over the whole thing. This is the William Levitt method, actually. Okay, but now that I'm playing 7th string, you're going to put these notes on the bottom. See that? So I'm going to add those extra notes. The next position. Then the next one. This is really hard to do for me. So we're still only doing it on 6th string. So that's what I'm going to be actually working on next on my exercises for the 7th string. Now, if there's any other questions about chords or improvisation, please let me know. And in a couple of weeks, actually in about a month, I'll be doing another workshop. In 2 weeks, I'm going to do a concert, try to do a concert on Saturday. Please let me know and send me a comment or send me a comment on Patreon about what songs you'd like me to do. And also on my next workshop about what subjects you'd like to work on particularly. We need to work on, I know I need to work on with my students in general, voicings, chord voicings, drop 2 voicings, seconds, 4th voicings, all those kind of voicings that we use in jazz that are common on the guitar that we should work on in the future. So I'm going to be ending the live stream actually probably about 5 minutes, which is about an hour since I started. If there's any questions or anything, let me know. And if you know anybody who wants to study with me or join my Patreon, let them know too and spread the word. And if there's any questions, like this guitar is a great guitar that I showed you. This is my Eastman custom AR403CE CS-7. It's actually a modified 6th string into a 7. They actually custom made this for me. About 8, 9 years ago. And it's a great guitar. And if you'd like to get an Eastman 7th string or any kind of guitars, everybody, please contact me and I'll help you get one directly through the company. Okay? And also, that's one of the things I do for my students and patrons and everybody. Try to get you good deals on instruments, for example. And this is a great pickup, the Benedetto 6th string through Seymour Duncan that I got directly from them. And the strings I use are actually La Bella Blacks, okay? And they're great. These are strings I particularly use on the 7th string guitar. On my jazz, on my 6th string guitars, it's a whole different story. I'll use, I typically use Tomastic George Benson ones, the George Benson model picks, okay? And I use a great tuner called the Peterson tuner, which is, I don't know what happened to it. Oh, it fell off. This thing, okay? This is this model is they don't make it anymore. They have a more modern version. This one the battery tends to get eaten up a lot, but it's the most accurate tuner you can buy. And with the 7th string, you really need to have accurate tuning because I'm always tuning up the guitar every time I'm recording, doing anything. So thank you, everybody, for watching my first Patreon workshop. And if you have any questions, I forgot to mention my Hendrickson amp. This little baby here, if you can see it, it's my little Hendrickson. It's a great little amp. You know, it has 2 inputs. These are very expensive amps. They list for like $1,300, but they're really great for the sound, and they're portable. I can carry this on my shoulder on a gig to Manhattan whenever that happens again. And, you know, walk from my car from 10th, 11th Avenue on the west side, walk to 6th, 7th Avenue with that little amp on my back and my guitar. Instead of paying for like $50 parking, I can just carry that amp, you know. So thank you, everybody. So I'll see you guys on Patreon very soon, and we'll talk. Ron Jackson here on the 6th and 7th string guitar workshop. Bye-bye.